People who befriended the quiet kid in school. What things did you wish your other classmates knew about them? He was sitting on a rock at school by himself. I said if I see him there again I'm gonna tell him he can't. He's gotta come hang out with us cause I didn't want to see him by himself anymore. He didn't have to talk to us. If he didn't want to, I wasn't going to let him be a target to anyone. He integrated into our group nicely and quick. We all joke that, because he's quiet he'll murder someone, mostly being me for making him be social, and he ran with the joke. His social skills weren't on par with the rest of us. One day we both got to school early, and we sat down where our group hung out together, and he turned around and told me his dad went to jail the night before. His father had been belting his mother for a few years and I think it stunted a lot of his social skills. We've been best mates for the past 15 years now. He's often the life of the party when we all catch up. I'm very proud of him. He talks a lot. Even more than I do. He's just quiet at school. This is how I was in school, haha. I had a lot to say to those I felt comfortable talking to. As I grew older I got a lot more confident. So now most people wouldn't say I'm quiet unless we've literally just met. That she was always so helpful. So sweet and so talented. Poor girl died because of a brain tumor when she was in her teens. I befriended her in junior high when she was diagnosed. He was brilliant, ahead of his time, and the best friend I have ever experienced. He was tormented for being so smart. Our friendship was frowned upon because we were a boy and girl. He treated me like that didn't matter. 1956, when his family moved, I looked into their empty home and cried. This is sad. Do you at all know what he's up? Any way to get in touch? Unfortunately, he passed when he was 23. On the upside, I was able to contact his parents and sibling and tell them how grateful I was to have shared his friendship when we were children. He took his time talking. It was unnerving at first but then kind of cool. Like he actually thought about every response he made and how those responses could be perceived. People can be cruel and pushy though, because he seemed slow. It could be pretty bad. Einstein did that. He used to be mocked for how long he took to respond. He was just going through every possibility. Al, honey, does this dress make me look fat? I went through all 14,605 responses, and only one was unoffensive. I wish my classmates knew that this quiet kid now visits me weekly at the restaurant I work for and orders his usual. He was the kid with a special instructor in each class, made fun of for it, among other things. Now he is independent and lives on his own. We bond over anime and Kingdom Hearts, which I tend to play the music of over the loudspeakers at work when he comes by. Edit. Thank you for my first awards. D. Give an old friend or the quiet kid a hello. Yeah, I never know what bond may come of it. In 8th grade there was a new student who was extremely shy and sat next to me in history class. Little by little, I became one of the only people who he'd open up to. I learned that he had Asperger's and had recently transferred from a school where he was consistently bullied. I wish people knew how intelligent he was. He was one of the smartest people I had ever met. He told me he dreamt of working for NASA one day and how passionate he was about physics and math. We parted ways after middle school because we ended up going to different high schools. I'm now in college and was curious on what he was doing one day, so I did a small Google search. He studies physics at MIT and lectures prospective students on differential equations. He's still one of the smartest people I have ever met. She was just shy because of her stutter. She didn't smell like they said and was insanely smart. She got married last Saturday and I was her mom. The quiet kid at my school was one stupidly rich who was wicked into Super Heroes 3. He was just a all-round good kid. They're not up to something just because they're quiet, and yes, they're fine, so stop asking them if they're okay or mad at you. He had his own one-man post-punk band and was an absolute beast when he started singing and playing his baritone bass to a programmed drum machine. He had a voice like a bell and his lyrics were incredibly deep, layered and intelligent. Sadly he killed himself. Marco, I still miss you, dude. Nothing really. He was nice enough, but even more strange street home. His parents were clearly the issue, but he was very different, and telling anyone what his home life was like would have been a curse. He was just really funny, and held really brutally honest opinions about everyone and everything. He was just a chill guy, to be honest. I befriended a shy, hard-working, and really smart student named Elizabeth Beth for short. After a year of hanging out and her coming over to my house, she finally invited me to hers. I was stunned by what I saw. She was absurdly rich and wealthy. Her house wasn't a house at all. It was a mansion, and she lived in the wealthiest part of town. I was shocked and asked her why she was so quiet in school. She said, "I don't want to be friends with people who only see me as a free bank card." We are still friends to this day. I feel like I was the quiet kid, but kind of on accident. I wasn't shy or anything. I just didn't have a lot of friends, and in 8th grade I went through kind of a weirdo rocker phase, so I think I intimidated a lot of my classmates. I think I became the pet project of one of the nice cool girls, because she became super friendly in our last hour. She noticed that I spent a lot of time writing, and started asking about it. She thought it was fun, and I was eventually comfortable enough to share some of it with her, but she never badgered me about it, or made fun of it. I don't know if she ever went back to her friends and made fun of me. If she did, I never heard about it. It was a small school. I would have. Thanks, Allison. He was strong and smart but shy. Once he lifted me and another classmate off the floor in a hug. He can still do it, and he's good in class. Only he has a hard time talking because he resents being too thin and tall. Physical 1.80. Once she got comfortable, she was hilarious and had the most dirtiest minds with the most dirtiest jokes. It was awesome. I prefer quiet people. They're honest and upfront and no bullshit, and they're not trying to be anybody else but themselves. Honestly, they're sometimes the best people. Doesn't judge. Has cool hobbies. Don't need to be forced to be cool around them. Overall cool people. I was the quiet kid. I would just let everyone know I'm enjoying the wallflower roll. No one messes with you. People just assume you are smart, and you can come to class stoned without anyone knowing. It's a good life. I married the quiet kid. He was the tall, dark and quiet type who happened to be a punk with a mohawk. A lot of people were curious about him, especially girls, but they didn't pursue him. I did. He's amazing, and if they had put in some effort they would have discovered the shy guy was the smartest and funniest in the room. Now I get to spend my life with someone way out of my league. I helped a scrawny quiet kid find his voice. He is now the biggest loudmouthed braggart asshole I know. 32 years later, we were also friends with the biggest loudmouthed, opinionated class clown who married an overbearing shrew, and he turned into a mousy shell of his former self. When I see people like that, I never judge them, because I know people like them maybe has something in the past forced them to be like the quiet kid, or maybe that's just their personality. When I took a class called Marriage and Family in college, there was a painfully quiet and shy guy that always wore cool band shirts. I didn't sit next to him, but I would compliment his shirts when he walked by. It grew into a close friendship, and I wish that people realized how intelligent he actually is. That he loves playing guitar and drums and is really good, but he would never admit it. That he has a compassionate and gentle soul and is a hippie at heart. But you know what? I guess it doesn't matter that they don't really know him. It just means that, since they never tried, they are unfortunate enough to not have him in their lives. The quiet antisocial kid that looked like he'd go nowhere in life is actually a really successful YouTuber Twitch streamer now. I guess all of those years of focusing on gaming instead of homework paid off in the end for him. He's one of those streamers that people watch for the skill showcase, rather than the personality. Though looking at his oldest videos versus his newest ones, it looks like he's grown some entertainer skills too. I'm one of the quiet kids. I can get along easily with anyone. But it's not easy when everybody either ignores you or talks above you. So as it went on I started getting quieter and now I'm one of the kids who wants to get to know you. Who wants to talk to you. And want to be friends. And I know everybody's names and who they are. But none of them know me. You ignored her. But she was always watching and listening. She was a nice kid. But if she hadn't been, she would have had a mental list of everyone's private conversations. What else was she supposed to do with no one to talk to during lunch and recess? So she just watched and listened. It became a habit until she knew little secrets about almost everyone. She never told them unless it was relevant to the conversation. But I knew that she knew. One day she just disappeared from school and never came back. And I think I'm the only one who remembers she ever existed. I befriended someone in my class who were bullied. I also bullied him a bit before I got to know him. I felt sorry for him though. So since we were gonna be in the same class for 3 years, I started bringing him along to parties and gatherings with my friends. Helped him fit in more and get to know more people. He is one of my best friends now. Also one of those more trustworthy of my friends. He is still weird, but not in a negative way. Love that dude. Don't bully or judge people by appearance. I was the quiet kid, but for some reason everyone tried to be my friend. I did have friends, but for whatever reason, in every class I didn't have friends and there would be at least 3 or 4 people just talking to me in a friendly manner. Not trying to make me do anything or say anything, but just because they think I have no friends, so they make me want to feel accepted by being friendly. Me of course, being an extreme introvert, except to my closest friends, would try and finish any conversation as quick as possible. Too long didn't read autistic kid who had been bullied all of his life turns out to be the most creative damn artist I've ever seen with my own 2 eyeballs. Oh finally I get to share this. Not so much the quiet kid as just the odd kid, but still. Also this wasn't in school. However this kid and I graduated from the same high school. I'm not sure how far apart we graduated, or even if we graduated the same year, but that's besides the point. So for the rest of the story let's refer to this kid as James. So anyway, I'm working at a major home improvement store chain, and one day I see James working there. I go up and talk to him and that's when I found out we both graduated from the same high school. He endured quite a bit of bullying throughout his life, and especially high school due to his odd behavior. Well, turns out this odd behavior was because of James being on the autism spectrum. To what extent I'm not exactly sure, but I know he struggled big time in social settings. So the fact he was able to get a retail job that forced him to interact with people, coworkers and customers is nothing short of incredible and a wonderful testament to this kid's tremendous work overcoming various difficulties with autism. Fast forward a few months after James and I have been working together for some time. I walk into our break room and find him doing some doodling. At first I pay no attention, because we're at work. I'm in work mode, not really minding what anybody else is doing. After sitting down for a minute I notice James becoming agitated, which he informed me during one of our earlier talks happens from time to time, and it's just something he's learning to deal with. Alright, no biggie. I got his back if need be. I asked him if he's okay, and if he needed help with whatever he was working on, since I assumed he was doing maybe schoolwork or something that he may have needed help on. He says no, he doesn't need help. He just can't get this thing quite right. So now of course I'm curious, thinking to myself what thing could he possibly be talking about. He finally gets up out of his chair, frustrated beyond belief. He starts walking around and pacing, hitting himself in the head, not hard, but kinda as to say to himself, why are you not getting this? So my curious ass just has to know what the heck is giving this kid so much trouble. So I asked James if I could at least take a look at what it is he's working on, so I can maybe offer a suggestion or something. He says sure, I'll probably be able to do a much better job on it than him anyways. Yeah. Ducking. Right. I walk over to where James was working to find the most beautiful, intricate, detailed drawings of several different cars. No, I don't mean he looked at a picture on the internet and drew that, which would have been incredibly impressive in itself. To me anyways. Now, this dude drew schematics to these cars. And they were cars that didn't even exist. He just created these ideas. Down to every single washer, lug nut, rod, screw, every ducking thing. To try to give you perspective, have you all ever seen the first Iron Man movie? When Tony Stark had been captured by the terrorist organization. And in creating the first Iron Man prototype suit, he had the multiple drawings on different pieces of paper, pressed them all together, and when he did that you could see the detailed version of the suit. Well, imagine that, but with a car, a fictional car, a fictional car with every single minute detail drawn to perfection. On top of that, he did this for a total of maybe 30, 50 cars. I can't remember exactly, but it was ridiculous. I also tried to urge him to be a graphic designer or something where he could put that talent to good use. Even maybe for a major auto manufacturer. Although on second thought I'm grateful he didn't do that, because they all just screwed him over, and Steve Jobs ate his ass by taking credit for his work. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.